Peace, fam. What is the deal? It is Ben, and today we're here for a sort of different kind of video. So I'm trying to do more of these like talking head, kind of just like get to know each other type videos in addition to the regular yoga classes. So I'll keep posting regular yoga classes. I'll keep the library of classes that's already on my channel. I'm going to keep that up, but I'm going to try to kind of mix in some other types of content, such as stuff like this that's a little bit more personable, where we can discuss some cool topics. And I'm also just going to be making coffee while we talk, because that's what I would be doing right now in this moment if I wasn't talking to y'all. I'd be making some coffee and just kind of starting my day, hopefully in a little bit of a mindful way. Today's topic that we had to talk about is how much money I make as a full-time yoga teacher. Now, this is, I guess, somewhat of a sensitive topic. It's a little bit of a personal topic, but I have no trouble and no problem at all talking us through it. So this is especially applicable to anybody who's thinking about teaching full-time, anyone who already teaches part-time, anyone who is thinking about getting their yoga teacher training certificate or anything like that. This kind of just gives you a peek into it. I got my pen, I got my notes so I can kind of map it out. And yeah, to give you all some background on me, I've been teaching at this point for a little over 4 years. And I'd say a couple years of that have been full-time. I've always had some other jobs here and there. Like when I first started teaching, I had a corporate gig. Then eventually I had like a part-time social media gig. And then now I'm teaching full-time. I call myself a full-time yoga teacher, but I'm also a photographer. So I also take a lot of photos, and that just gets busier and unbusier depending on the season. So right now it just turned September. This is busy season for myself and a lot of other photographers. But you know, if you ask a photographer how they're doing in January or February, they might be a little bit lighter on their schedule and how much money they're bringing in. So yoga is really my most stable part of my employment, my full-time job, and that's what we're breaking down today. So to give you all an idea of how much I teach, let's see, I'm going to map it out. Monday, we got 3 classes. Tuesday, we got 2 classes. Wednesday, we got 2 classes. Thursday, we got 2 classes. Friday, we got 2 classes. Sunday, we got 1 class. And then I also teach one weekly private class. And then we'll say I do, let's just say, a workshop every month. I don't always do a workshop every month, but for the sake of simplicity and math, I should be doing 1 workshop a month. If you're a full-time yoga teacher, you should be doing a workshop a month. So I'm just going to plug that in there. So in terms of weekly classes, that's 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12. That's 12 weekly classes. 12 weekly public classes. And then that's in addition to subbing classes. So usually I'll if I'm in town, I'll sub like, 1 or 2 classes a week. But I think that gets canceled out because if I travel, that means I have to get all my classes subbed out. And that's the tough thing about teaching yoga full time, is that there's no PTO, no paid time off. If you leave town, you leave your classes and you don't get paid for the classes that you don't teach, unless you're lucky enough to find a teaching gig that pays you a salary somewhere. So let's add it up. The yoga studios that I teach at, the lowest I get paid is this one place that pays me around $35 a class. It varies depending on attendance, but it's about $35 a class. That's really low. Normally I wouldn't teach for that low, but I really just love the organization. The organization does some really cool stuff in Charlotte, and it's run by good people, and they bring yoga to much more accessible spaces. They're called Dancing Lotus Yoga. If you're in Charlotte, if you want to just take like that's where I teach just like outdoor classes. It's much more casual, much more informal. But yes, that's why I teach for them, even though the pay is a little bit lower. It's really good people and I enjoy it. So yeah, I do that. In the middle is where I get paid the most, which is $40 is what one studio pays me, $40 a class. Another studio pays me $45 a class. And then another studio pays me $50 a class. So really it's $35 to $50 is the average range. I get paid somewhere between $35 and $50 every time I teach a class. So let's go ahead and average that out. And let's just say that I make an average of $42.50 a class. All right, so that's 12 weekly classes at $42.50 per class. I'm going to bring out my handy dandy calculator here, and I'm going to do 12 weekly classes times $42.50 equals $510 per week. This is, of course, all pre-tax because anytime you work at a yoga studio, for the most part, you are going to be a 1099 contractor, which means they probably are not going to take out taxes from the paycheck that you get. So this is $510 a week times 4 equals $2,040 a month. Honestly, not bad for teaching yoga 12 classes a week because if I really wanted to, I could teach 20 classes a week. Now, that might kill me and it would also take away my ability to work on other projects like YouTube, photography. I'm always working on different creative kind of jobs. And so I could teach 20 times a week and honestly, I think I'd be fine, but I would be burnt out and I would, well, I don't want to say burnt out, but it would take away my freedom and liberty to focus on other tasks, other projects, other endeavors like photography, which for me, photography is a big part of what I do. All right, so that's $20.40 a month, one weekly private class. I'm gonna be honest, I only make $50 from this private class because it's a person I've been working with for a long time and we just have a good rap and I want to keep doing good stuff with him. So normally for a private class, I would charge closer to $80 per hour ish, give or take. It varies depending on who it is. If it's a corporate client, if you're teaching corporate classes, you can charge a lot for that, between, I would say, $100 and $300 for a 60-minute class. If you're going to corporate classes, for privates, I'd say around $100 for like an hour to 90 minutes would be pretty standard. But I'm just going to add $200 to my monthly thing. So that's $20.40 a month plus 200 equals, let's say, $2,240 a month plus one workshop, right? So plus a workshop. A workshop generally, it depends on how many people come. Most yoga studios, they split the workshop income. 60 or 70% goes to the teacher and 30 or 40% goes to the studio. And this will just depend on the place, right? But let's say for math's sake, let's say we do a workshop, we get 15 people in attendance. Each person pays $30 to attend. It's like 2 or 3 hour workshop. That's $450. And let's say we keep 2/3 of that. That means we make $300 off that workshop. So that's plus $300 a month. And so this is where you see why workshops are so good, because it forces you to specialize in the topic that you're presenting. So it makes you a good teacher, you make a little bit of extra money, and it gets your name out there and kind of presents you as somewhat of an expert, not just a regular instructor. We are a teacher that has deeper knowledge to share with our students, which can present greater opportunities down the line. So if we add that $300 a month for workshops, that takes us to $2,540. Let's just say $2,500 to round it out. $2,500 a month. And it might be higher or lower than this depending on the month, how well your workshop does. If you're traveling that month or if you're subbing a bunch of classes, that can go up and down. But let's say $2,500 a month is probably, in a month where I'm home the whole month, I probably make around $2,500 a month from teaching yoga. Now let's do $2,500 a month times 12, because there's 12 months in the year. That equals $30,000 for the year. $30,000 exactly. Not bad, honestly, for teaching yoga, something that I think we all know is a pretty low income job. It's not anything that we do to get rich. It's something that we do out of passion, out of dharma, out of purpose. So to make 30 grand a year off something like that is honestly really good. I consider that really good, especially as someone with pretty low expenses. I live in a pretty small apartment, which y'all have the pleasure of joining me in right now. And I live a simple life. I do want to say that I barely know any full-time yoga teachers. Now, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, so maybe it's different in other cities. But personally, I know almost nobody else that teaches yoga full-time. And even me, I consider myself a full-time teacher, but I do photography. And, like I said, it's busy season right now for me. So I'm doing like 3 photo shoots a week. So that's actually probably contributing more to my income than yoga is. But then I have other months where I don't really do many photo shoots and yoga is my only source of income. So I do have to rely on this. But I would say most yoga teachers have a full-time job and they teach on the side for fun. Or some yoga teachers maybe work in real estate or have another creative job or just do something that they can mix and match with yoga so that they don't put the burden on themselves to teach a million weekly classes. You can also start to get into hosting yoga retreats and leading yoga trainings, whether it's yoga trainings or yoga teacher trainings or longer workshops. As you become a more experienced teacher, you can do all of these things, which will add to your income. I did lead one yoga retreat this year, which I made about $5,000 for that. It was a lot of work on the planning, on the programming, on the teaching. I ended up making $5,000 and a trip to Costa Rica, so it was well worth the effort. But those things are never guaranteed. Anytime I teach a workshop or a training or a retreat, I kind of assume I'm not going to make any money because we can't really control how many people sign up for those. And I consider that to be like a bonus. Just like you might make a bonus from a corporate job, I view income from retreats and trainings kind of like as a bonus for all the hard work that gets put into it, because I can't guarantee the money from that, but I can guarantee, because I know exactly how much money I make from my weekly classes when I show up and teach. I know no matter how many people show up, I'll get paid $40 or whatever. And again, at some studios, they might pay you $2 a person. They might change it, but for the most part, I teach at places with flat rate. So yeah, that is how much I make from being a yoga teacher. If you're looking to teach full time, my advice to you is take it slow. Try to keep your job, whether it's your current job or whether you get a different part-time job, try to at least work part-time somewhere else until you have enough classes that can make you at least this amount of like $2,500 a month or 30 grand a year. Because that's at least usually for most people enough to survive. You might not be saving a lot of money, but you can usually pay rent if you're making $2,500 a month. But I would say keep your job, keep your day job, have something that you're working toward on the side. Always be learning, always be studying, keep going to trainings, educate yourself, because this will qualify you to lead higher level workshops, trainings, and retreats in the future. Right? We have to not get complacent, not just be an instructor, not just show up every week and teach and just keep our 200-hour certification. Invest in yourself. Any spare money that you have should go back into your endeavor of becoming an expert and well-rounded yoga teacher, because these are the yoga teachers that are making close to six figures, are people who have been doing this for 10, 20 years. They are super experienced, they're super knowledgeable, super trained, and so people will pay them whatever they ask to go train with them. Obviously, that's an exaggeration in terms of paying whatever they ask. We got to keep it somewhat reasonable. But as we become more skilled, more educated, more of a unique offering to society, the more that we can actually be able to use that unique offering to put food on the table and support ourselves financially. So I would just say keep going, keep learning, keep investing in yourself. It only gets easier. And if you're like, how do I even get a teaching job? Go take classes at wherever you want to teach at. After you've taken classes for a little bit, try to talk to the manager or the front desk people. Just make friends and ask people if you can get on the sub list. Be like, hey, I'm a yoga teacher. I'm super passionate. I'm looking for more places where I can share this passion. And I'm hoping to get on the schedule, whether it's just the sub list or a weekly class or whatever you got. And then once you get one class, that one class can always turn into 2 or 3 or 4. It's rare that you'll be able to teach more than 4 classes a week at a yoga studio, because they like to mix up the amount of teachers that they have on their staff. But you could always get up to that 3 or 4 classes at one studio, at another studio, at another, and then before you know it, well, not before you know it, it might take you a year or 2 or 3, but after some hard work, after some patience, you might get to the point where you're teaching 10 to 20 classes a week, and that's a little bit more sustainable. You'll start getting your name out there. People will get to know you. You'll get in a rhythm with it. You'll get better at your craft, and then it'll just go from there. So if you have any other questions about this, drop them in the comments, but I feel like I would just provide some transparency there. It might be useful to any of you fellow yoga teachers out there, because I know it's a grind. I know we're all in this together. It is a grind built out of love. So let's just keep going. Let's keep supporting each other. All right, y'all, much love. I'll see you on the next video. I'm going to try to do more of these talking head videos. Sometimes we might just make coffee. We might read some poetry, we might do some journaling, we might just kick it. But I'm gonna try to mix these in with the regular yoga classes. All right, y'all. With that being said, much love, peace, 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 and I'll see you soon.